It is often called the invisible illness, a silent battle waged inside of the body where the immune system turns against the very person it is meant to protect. Lupus is complex, unpredictable, and deeply misunderstood. But for millions of people across the world, this is their reality. Today we step into the life of a warrior, not for the fight they choose, but for the strength with which they choose to show up with every single day. This is more than just a story about illness. It is a story of courage and resilience. We will also delve deep to understand what exactly is lupus, the diagnosis, the signs and the symptoms, as well as the cost of treatment. My name is Helen Aura, filling in for Mary Mwikali and Winnie Lubembe. Welcome to your world. Today I'm joined by Victoria Kiende, who is a lupus warrior on my farthest left. I am also joined by, in my immediate left, Professor Omondi Oyoo, who's a rheumatologist. Welcome to the show, Professor Oyoo, and Victoria. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'd actually like to start with you, Victoria. When we call you a lupus warrior, take us back how the journey has been for you. When were you diagnosed with lupus, and how has the journey been for you?
Okay, so the journey for me has been tedious, a long one. I think it's been lifelong, like till this very moment. It started from birth. So when I was born 6 months, like it's supposed to be 9 months, right? So
right.
A preterm baby of 6 months. So what happened is my mom birthed me, and then they said I'm a still baby. They couldn't find a pulse, they couldn't find any kind of breathing, so they said I'm a still baby. But my grandfather used to work in that hospital. So when he came to check on my mom and ask, where's the baby? And my mom is like, well, I've been told the baby didn't manage. And he's like, no, show me the baby. So they showed him the baby, and he did some things. I don't know what exactly, because I wasn't at understanding age, but I coughed up something. It's like I had been choked by the water that breaks.
Right.
Yeah. So after that, I was taken to the incubator. I stayed there for 3 months, and then the issues began there. So I was always sick, started with very bad fevers every time. And the story that I am told of when I was a baby is they used to put me aside, and then when they just look, is she still breathing? I'm convulsing. So they have to rush me at the hospital, and I never used to cry.
Right.
So they have to keep checking because I keep convulsing and I'm not crying. So that is how our journey began. The baby is always sick, but they don't understand what the problem is. So it started like that. So I started nose bleeding by age 4. I was nose bleeding so bad. So I started a clinic at Kenyatta in the hematology clinic. But before that, I was in the ENT. They couldn't find something. They put me in the hematology. After that, oncology. After that, because they were trying everything, post-operations, complications, and there was no operation that had been done on me, but because we were just trying to find what the problem might be. So the journey continued like that. When I was 9, so this is 9 years later, they still don't have a diagnosis.
Right.
I was diagnosed with rheumatic fever, and then I developed heart issues. So there was something wrong with my pulmonary valve. So the deoxygenated blood was not flowing back the way it's supposed to. So there was that. And then after that, just a whole lot of things. They could not operate on me because my immune system was always so bad. So fast forward, I'm 11 years old, and my mom is like, no, this has to be something. Now it's like people are saying Nikurogwa. People are saying, because now it's like they're not finding anything, right? And I'm just surviving on paracetamols and antidepressants. Yeah, because I could not sleep. The insomnia was so bad. So that's what they were giving me. So later on, my mom bumped into this book that had been written. It's called It's Not Growing Pains. And so she decided, let me contact some doctors in Cincinnati Children's Hospital, and she sent them some of my tests, and then from there now is when they said this might be JRA or SLE, which is lupus.
Right.
So there's no pediatric rheumatologist in Kenya at that time. So Kenyatta, we're told you have to wait until you're 16 to see the rheumatologist. We're like, we've struggled for all these years, almost died so many times. What are you saying? We wait for 5 more years to get a diagnosis.
Right.
So that's how we started trying and trying. We're trying to find now professor at that time, because he was the rheumatologist we were referred to from Cincinnati. So that's who we were looking for, but he doesn't see, he's not a pediatric rheumatologist,
Right.
so he doesn't see children at that time. So that's how my journey started. Eventually, when I was 14, is when now I was able to get a proper diagnosis. So when people ask, like, how do you say I have been a lupus warrior, or have been a this and this warrior for this many years, I can't quantitate that. I can't put it into this many years, because I feel like it has been a struggle for so many years.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Victoria, let me just cut you short, because we're going to just give feedback, give up an opportunity to our audience for the question of the day. If we can put up the question of our day on the screen. Imagine waking up tired every day. No matter how much you sleep, what would you change about your life? That is the question of our day. There is the question of our day. Imagine waking up tired every single day, no matter how much you sleep. What is it that you would change about your life? Kindly give us feedback on our platforms, that is NTV Kenya on Instagram and NTV Kenya on our X platforms, as well as our WhatsApp number, which is below the screen. You can just give us feedback. And if you are going through a similar condition, such as Victoria, and you're experiencing any challenges, or if you have any questions for Professor Oyoo, who is a rheumatologist, kindly text into our WhatsApp number. He will be able to address all your concerns. Well, just Professor Oyoo, Victoria mentioned something in regard to her late diagnosis. At 9 years old, she's being taken from one facility to another facility. Lupus is an autoimmune disease.
Yes.
And there are many who are watching us and wondering, what exactly is an autoimmune disease? Prof, what is an autoimmune disease?
Thank you. Autoimmune disease is a situation where your body, the protective mechanism of your body starts fighting your body. That autoimmune, you are fighting yourself. You know, most of the time, the germs attack our bodies,
right,
and our immune system fight the germs.
Yes.
But now, for reasons that we don't understand, the body turns against itself. You are fighting, you are waging war within you. It's like a civil war.
Yeah.
You are fighting yourself.
Yes.
And therefore, for us to stop you from fighting yourself, we have to suppress your immunity, because your immunity is hyperactive. Yeah, we do not know what triggers it, but generally there's some genetic predisposition. Somebody in you are born with some genes that are not normal, and at some point, triggered by the environmental factors, can just start to fight you.
So in this case, how would you describe lupus beyond it being an autoimmune disease? There are several autoimmune diseases that we know of, but in this particular context of lupus, how best would you describe it, which would make it more distinct as compared to the other autoimmune diseases that are there?
Yeah, lupus is the prototype, it's the commonest of the autoimmune diseases, and most we call it protean. Protean means that it can affect any part of the body.
Right.
So you have the particular antibodies called antinuclear antibodies, which are antibodies directed towards the nucleus of the cell. And there are very many types of them which attack various parts of the body. And they can manifest in various ways. So lupus is a Latino word, which means the wolf.
Yes.
You know, the wolf is a very destructive animal because it can attack both human beings, other animals, and even vegetation.
Yes.
So lupus destroys anything that it finds on its path.
Okay.
It starts from the hair, you lose your hair.
Oh.
Yes. Lupus can attack your skin.
Yeah.
And one of the things that it does, you have skin rashes on the face and any part of the body. Lupus can attack the brain. And if you think about any complication that can happen in the brain, from psychosis to stroke to bleeding in the brain, occurs in lupus. Lupus can come and affect the lungs, and by having, you have fluid surrounding the lungs,
right,
or affecting the lung itself, you bleed in the lungs, or you get fibrosis in the lungs. It also affects the heart, and you can get any complication that you can imagine in the heart and blood vessels occurs in lupus. And it can affect the intestines. You can get a blockage of blood vessels, and you get infarction, and you get your intestines can start rotting when you are alive, and it just that. And you can get fluid accumulating in the abdomen. You can get arthritis of the joints, and affects the kidneys. Actually, effects on the kidney is the most common. Any problem that you can imagine the kidney happens in lupus.
Right.
But finally, lupus also affects pregnancy. Lupus is a textbook of medicine. So if you seek first the knowledge of lupus, if you know lupus,
right,
you know all the knowledge of medicine is within you. That's why generally rheumatologists are considered a very bright doctor, because they know everything. Any complication that you can imagine in pregnancy happens in a patient with lupus. From hypertension, premature baby, baby born prematurely, abortion, in intrauterine death, or happens in lupus. So lupus is, once you get a patient with lupus, you just have to be alert, because anything can happen, even including clots of blood in the legs. So that's how it manifests itself. And because it does not have lupus, one patient with lupus is always different from another patient. They are not the same.
All right.
And you cannot write the same medicine.
You're right. Oh.
And they cannot even borrow medicine one from another, because it's like a dress.
Yes.
It's a dress. You know, your dress can look nice on you, but I cannot come, your dress is looking nice, let me wear your dress and I look nice.
Yeah.
You have to go to a tailor to fit your dress. Yeah, that's how lupus, I have to check this patient with lupus. What is bringing this patient here today? Is it the brain? Is it the skin? Is it the lungs? Is it the heart? Or is it the kidney? Or is it the joint? Is it depression? Is it psychosis? Is it mental? You know, from depression to anything, even convulsions. I was just discussing today morning with my neurologist fellow. I told her, all those young ladies in your clinic with the convulsions, can you check how many of them could be having lupus? Don't just treat them for epilepsy. Some of them could just be lupus. In fact, some of them have been called in Chiromo Lane or in a mental unit, that there's a girl here who was admitted here because of psychosis, and he has developed fever. Can you come and check for us what is causing fever? Then I go there and find it is lupus.
Now that you mentioned that, Prof, there's something also Victoria did mention.
Yes.
It took her 11 years to be able to be referred to Kenyatta after they've wandered from one facility to another. Because of autoimmune diseases such as lupus, we have cases of misdiagnosis or late diagnosis. Why is this the case, number one? And what is now being done to ensure that those who are depicting signs of autoimmune diseases from an onset, from birth, or even from an early age, they can be able to be diagnosed soon?
You know, the late diagnosis of lupus is a universally documented problem all over the world. Because it does not come, it comes insidiously, it comes slowly. You can start just with joint pains, or you can start with rashes. You can start with headache, because headache is common, and headache is a common problem in the society, either because of economy, weather, or whatever. Headache is a common problem. And therefore, you must have a high index of suspicion. You meet somebody whose signs are not adding up, the age is right, a young girl in a reproductive age, and has come to hospital several times and without a clear pattern. you have to have a high index of suspicion and do the relevant tests. But one of the problems with lupus, in Kenya, we have not had specialists in lupus. Yeah, for a long time, we didn't have specialists.
Yeah.
And then now is when we are getting specialists. Number two, the laboratory system in the country has not, especially in the public hospital, has not been very supportive because the tests have not been available. Just to give you an idea, in mid-90s, late 90s,
Right.
when I started practicing as the first rheumatologist practicing in Kenya, there were no tests. We used to take tests to South Africa. So that's when I had a meeting with the in charge of Nairobi Hospital, the late Agrenyo, Professor Agrenyo.
Yes.
And I told her, can we make these tests available in the country? And therefore Nairobi Hospital started doing them here. Now there are many more laboratories doing them. So, those are been challenges. Then secondly, I used to be in the public. So the curriculum for training doctors on autoimmune diseases was not very solid. So I was asked by the International League Against Rheumatism, can you go and join the University of Nairobi so that you improve on the curriculum? So we had to write a curriculum for training for training doctors in rheumatology so that they have a high index of suspicion.
Right.
So that the doctors who leave the university are able to look out for autoimmune diseases, including lupus. And so, once you have even the primary doctors being able to pick it up is good. So, the training, the clinical acumen of the doctors was low, but now it is high. But what were we doing about the other doctors who were left before? We started what is called Oyoo Rheumatology Foundation.
Okay.
So we go out there to train clinical officers and doctors on early recognition of disease, including lupus. But lupus generally is difficult to diagnose early because it comes. Somebody comes with convulsions, somebody comes with headache. How do you decide? So the patient has to keep on coming.
Yeah.
Somebody comes with anemia. You find hookworm in the stool. You say, this is hookworm. But if the anemia is of a different type, which is not iron deficiency, you have to start thinking. So you have to keep on opening your eyes. And when you get somebody with clear symptoms, you do what we call a watchful waiting. You don't tell the patient to go home, hakuna kitu. You tell him, come back, even after 3 months, come back. Or if you have any problem, even if it's just skin rash, come back, and then you'll pick it.
Victoria, Prof has said now they have outreach clinics, they have outreach missions where they now detect this disease at an early age. But for you, 11 years at the Kenyatta National Hospital, that is when now at least you, not even you per se, but your mother at that time, she's actually being told, this is what could be happening with your child. Were you involved in those conversations from at that particular tender age? And at this point, what did the doctor say?
No, the issue with Kenyatta at the time, another thing that Professor has said is the fact that you are that sick, but the test results keep coming back. There's nothing wrong. So that is why it's also very hard for them. And considering then there were no rheumatologists, like pediatric rheumatologists. So I can't say I blame the physicians. But at that time, it reached a point, now before my mom contacted the Cincinnati hospital, it reached a point they closed my file. They were like, no, you guys go home. When you find what the problem is, come back and tell us. Because now it's years of trying to find something, you're jumping from one clinic to the other. I had gone to all the clinics, they've not found anything. So they're like, no, you guys go home. When you find the issue, come back. So at that age, I don't remember being so roped into the conversations because I was also just a little girl trying to go to school. My schooling I spent most of my life in hospital. So like my schooling was it was like, I don't even think my mom had like hope you'd finish primary school and go to secondary
Tell us
school.
more a bit about that.
Now, when I was going to my primary school story is very funny, and this is also about the support system in schools because this is not an issue that only affects adults, right? So when I was in primary school, my teachers were very supportive because I used to go to school at 11 because I cannot be up before that. My body refuses completely. So it's either I don't go to school or they allow me to go at 11.
Okay.
So my mom had gone, explained what the issue is, and thankfully the teachers agreed, okay, fine, whatever time she wakes up, let her come.
Okay.
And that whatever time she wakes up, today I come, and then after 3 weeks, for the next 3 weeks I'm not in school. And then I come again, and then for the next 3 weeks I'm not in school. It used to be like that. I remember even sitting for my KCPE, my teachers had to speak to the ministry to allow me to do my exams because my absent days were way more than my present days, which means you're not qualified to sit for these exams.
Right.
So until my teachers were like, no, she's actually a student, yeah, she's a good student, it's just health issues and all that, is when I was allowed to sit for my exams.
Right.
So now, jumping from that into high school, which is more intensive and way more, was very hard for me. I almost dropped out of high school. I had a whole year and a half out of school for high school now. And that's like chemistry and biology and physics. So it's like more intense. The good thing is most patients, I don't know, the doctor will confirm, but most patients are not like average students. So they're just a bit above average.
Yeah.
So like it's not that hard. To do the exams and all that, but the going to school is hard.
All right.
Yeah. So that's how it has been, the journey for that. I don't know if I answered your question.
You have. I still have more questions, but we're taking a short break here on Your World. Our question of the day is, imagine waking up tired every day, no matter how much you sleep. What would you change about your life? If you're watching, imagine waking up tired every day, no matter how much you sleep. What would you change about your life? Send your feedback on our social media platforms. That is NTV Kenya on our Instagram, NTV Kenya on X. And our social media number, or rather our WhatsApp number, is down below the screen. Kindly share your feedback, and if you have any questions for Victoria, any questions for Professor Oyoo, kindly share them on the WhatsApp. Send them to the WhatsApp number. We shall be able to read, and Professor is here to answer your question if you have any complicated question, and Victoria as well. We're taking a short break. We'll be right back. Don't go too far. Welcome back to the show. You're watching Your World with me, Helen Aura. Today is Health Matters, and we were discussing about lupus, it being one of the autoimmune diseases. And what exactly is it? I'm joined by Victoria Kiende, a lupus warrior, and Professor Oyoo, who is a rheumatologist. Back to you, Victoria. You mentioned that, before we took the break, you mentioned that you were about to drop out of school due to not feeling well. And one of the key things, actually, which I'm so curious about at that particular moment, did your teachers understand what exactly this ailment is that you are undergoing, or were they just told by your mom, you know what, my daughter is not feeling well? Number two, subjects such as chemistry are very technical. They're the practicals that need you to be there. How did you navigate through that?
Okay, so let me answer the bit for first. You might confuse me because of also brain fog.
Oh, okay, sorry about that. Right.
Let's start with the teachers.
Yes.
I think Professor wrote so many letters because I kept transferring.
Oh.
So each school you have to start again explaining. So the teachers in high school are not supportive as it was in primary school. I don't think they understand. They just think you want to go home.
Okay.
And I really, really loved school. So I was determined to make boarding life work for me. I could not sleep. I remember all my nights in boarding school. I could not sleep. I used to operate on like an hour of sleep for like the whole day. And so that's what would cause the lapses and all that. But because I really wanted to be in school like other kids and just finish with my peers and all that, I really wanted to make it work, but the teachers would make it so hard. I remember one experience I had that was so painful that I remember to this day. Now that was the last time. Now we were like, no, we are done with boarding school. So actually I'll mention two. Okay. So number one, I remember I was just from physiotherapy. I had, I think, been admitted, And then after that, I went back to school. And then so I had these physiotherapy sessions, and I would go and come back. So I met the students right after parade. So I met the deputy and some teachers there. And they were laughing at me and telling me, this is not a school for you. You deserve to be in a day school. We can't have such students in our... And then they would laugh. What kind of pain do you think you're in? And the pain I was in that day, I was like, God, I don't even want you to give it to them for one day. Yeah. Just 20 minutes so that they can know what I'm feeling, right? And another one that I almost died in school again was, I remember I had been saying to the matron, because I used to have my insurance card with me, don't even call my mother, just take me to hospital. I don't feel well. She's like, oh, you know, people with issues like yours, you need to be strong. You can't keep complaining every time. I'm like, okay, this is new. I'm not strong. Okay, fine. So what happened is I started turning orange.
Okay.
That is what my Kiswahili teacher was like, what is happening? Because I feel like even last night I had a new symptom that I have never experienced this, you know. So it's not until now because you are diagnosed, that's when the symptoms end. It's new every time, right? So that time I had never seen my body turn color, apart from, oh, you're so pale, you know. So I think it's a marker. Now I'm wondering, why is it everywhere, right? So, and it's not coming off. I try to go and rub it with water. It's not coming off. So that's when I started panicking because it's something I've never experienced. So my Kiswahili teacher had to call my mom. At that time, I was not working. People were carrying me from class to dorm, from dorm to class, feeding me. I don't even understand how I was still in school, right? But they were like, oh, you have to push because you have to be strong. And you see that is very dangerous, right? So by the time I was coming from, I remember the minute my doctor saw me like this, he was like, no, we are suing these people. This is not nice. And after that, now is when I got out of school for like a year and a half. So by the time I was coming back, so I'm getting into Form 3. I have been out of school for I don't know how long. I have never been to a lab, any chemistry lab, any physics lab. I don't even know how those things look like. I'm almost sitting for my exams. My first encounter with a lab was when I was finishing Form 3. Yes. So I'm like, what are we mixing? You have to be, oh, you can't stand for long, oh, there's all these issues. I don't even know how I managed high school. I keep saying I can't go back, it's high school. I can't go back. Even if I'm given 10 million, that experience was traumatizing. I cannot. So there's that. And when the teachers now began to understand is, I remember one time, one of my teachers met me at my doctor's. Alikuwa ameleta now the mother who had arthritis, just arthritis. Right. So arthritis is not an autoimmune, right? Yeah, so just arthritis. So she was like, you mean those are not stories you tell us? I'm like, what? Why would they be stories? Yeah. It's not like I'm lazy, you get. But there's that. People used to call me a truant in school. They didn't understand why I wouldn't come to school. Even when I was in day school, they thought I just didn't want to come to school. I didn't want to study, right? But now we journeyed through that and got through it. Yeah. College, we got to college, and now that's when the rubber met the road, and now I couldn't finish that. I had to drop out for that.
How does a pain crisis look like for you? Because someone would look at you and think, such a beautiful girl, she looks normal, she's smiling. But how would you explain a pain crisis for you?
I think that's why many teachers didn't understand, and many of my friends didn't understand, because I look so normal. Yes. And I won't go around talking about my illness everywhere. Yeah. So a pain crisis for me looks like how do I explain this? It just looks like I've woken up. My mom says on those days I don't talk. I don't talk to anyone. Like, I'll wake up, they'll say hi to me, and I don't respond. It's because I can't. There's nothing in me to respond to you. There's nothing in me to have a conversation. It's debilitating pain. It's the pain where I remember last night I was showering and telling myself, people wouldn't understand how painful showering is.
Explain.
It's physically painful. Like, just rubbing the towel on your body is painful.
Okay.
Oiling your body is painful. And those are the everyday things that you have to do. But I had reached a point I was being washed. And I remember I had told God no. The last time my grandma washed me, I was almost this age. I was like, God, this is the last time I'm being washed. So I make sure, even no matter how bad, I will not sleep without showering. And even if I have to crawl into that bathroom, I will go and shower. And so a pain crisis for me looks like even brushing my teeth is a struggle. Like, just brushing my teeth. And because I cannot stand not brushing my teeth, I have to, right? So it's the constant brush, the strokes are painful for your wrist, for your hand. Everywhere is paining. There's this meme that the doctor tells you, put a band-aid where there's pain, and then you just stick the whole band-aid on your body because everywhere is painful.
Right.
Yeah, it's that bad. Like, your scalp is in pain, your fingertips, everywhere is paining. No one can even touch you like this because it's painful to touch me.
Right.
So my mom and my sister, they keep forgetting, and they would touch me when they're like just making fun in their house. And then I'm like, guys, don't touch me. It's painful. Yeah. So it's like that.
Okay.
That's how it looks like on an everyday basis.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Professor Oyoo, Victoria has explained her pain crisis quite in depth. This is because we understand the nervous system. Is it that all the nerves are now affected? That's why a patient now would feel, even as the sense of physical touch would not, they don't want anyone to touch them. Is this the case? And is the pain crisis similar for every patient, or everyone has their own journey?
Number one, the lupus patient, one is different from the other. Every patient has his own journey.
Yeah.
So it's like the proverbial elephant, which was touched by the blind people.
Yeah.
Whatever, one touching the feet, one touching the ears, it's experienced differently. But lupus has got, the pain in lupus has got many factors.
All right.
That drives it. The number one, they can get arthritis. So arthritis is just painful swelling of the joints. But secondly, they can also get involvement of the nerves, the peripheral nerves.
Right.
You know, lupus can affect anything.
Yes.
It's a textbook of neurology in itself. So if there's a situation we call allodynia, where somebody just feels pain everywhere. So the nerves can be involved. Number three, lupus itself can have what we call fibromyalgia. Fibromyalgia is a painful condition where somebody has got a low threshold for pain. What is not pain for another person is very painful for this person.
All right.
And therefore, lupus also gets secondary fibromyalgia. Fibromyalgia coming as a result of lupus. Then lupus itself has got several cognitive problems of the brain.
Right.
The brain, the way the brain processes things. You have heard her talking about brain fog.
Yes.
Brain is slowed. Brain is like shutting down. The forgetfulness. And the way they process stimuli is different. So they can have that psychological issues. Pain can also be psychological, coming from the brain. And that's why the management of that pain involves many disciplines, from pain management, from psychologists and pain specialists, and neurologists. So you have to decide, this patient, what is the predominant reason for pain?
Right.
Because some of the pains we can't manage as rheumatologists. We have to send them either to a psychiatrist, psychologist, pain specialist, so that you deal with all these things. And some of it can also be handled spiritually, you know. where issues are beyond us. We have to accept the supremacy of the Almighty in dealing with some of these issues. We are not the answer to all the problems that a lupus patient faces. And therefore, we always direct them also to the creator, the creator of their being, who can also sort out some of the problems. Yes.
Yeah, you said that, and I saw Victoria smile widely because, you know, she did mention when she was younger and they didn't understand what exactly she was ailing from. They thought it was witchcraft, kurogwa. And in the African setting, if you don't understand an ailment, there are a lot of myths and misconceptions. And that is one of the myths and misconceptions that surrounds lupus in our setting.
In fact, I know somebody who looked at the feelings, studied the lupus patients, looking at the experiences of lupus patients in Kenya. And one of the experiences that patients get in lupus is that they are convinced and they feel that they are bewitched.
What?
They are people, you know, there's a triad of managing patient. You have the medical workers, you have the families, and then you have the society, the relatives. So all these work together as a team. So the society and your family can convince you that this is witchcraft. So it is up to you to accept or fight it out. There are many wars they fight. I have a lupus patient who was convinced that the reason why she's getting lupus is because the husband did not pay dowry. So those are there. Those are myths. And sometimes they hold water. So you find somebody has to go and pay dowry to assuage the symptoms of lupus. Right. So there are many myths outside there. But lupus is a disease. It's a distinct disease by itself. And those myths are one of the reasons why we have to do a lot of education. Right. We have patients groups where they're supposed to demystify lupus so that they have to say this is lupus and it is not witchcraft.
Right. So in such instances, do you tell them it's predominantly genetic and they need to go back to their genetic mapping, or how do you advise it? Because someone would want to understand, and if you tell someone lupus is genetic and they say, I've never seen anyone in our family depicting such signs and symptoms or being diagnosed with such an ailment, how do you explain that? So is it only genetic, or can it be explained beyond the genetics?
Yes, it can be, because you can have the genes to develop something.
Right.
But you also need an environment. Environment which can allow it to express itself. The environment can be your gender. You know, like the ladies. The ladies, the high environment where they have a lot of estrogen is a fertile ground for development of lupus. The environment can be diet. So those are the areas of research. The environment can be a certain form of infection. The environment can be like cigarette smoking, can trigger it, can switch it on. The environment can be exposure to the sun. So, you know, when we are doing studies and looking at lupus, we try to fix all these things. The environment can be the exposure to the doctors that you face. If you face people who have never had, you know, one of the problems of late diagnosis, if something is not in your brain, you will not see it, even when it's coming, when it's around. You know, what is not in your brain, you will not see. So, for even a diagnosis is aided by, you can have vision, but you are visually impaired. I mean, I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying. When something is not in your brain, when you have nothing in your brain, no knowledge of something in your brain, you are no different from a blind person. So if you persistently have those symptoms and you see a blind doctor, academically blind or professionally blind to that issue, they will not see it. So that's why we believe in the referral, and that's why we are trying to have rheumatologists at least in every major referral hospital, in the county hospital, university hospital, so that they can open the eyes of doctors so that they can be able to see lupus and related conditions.
All right.
Yeah.
Victoria, there's several types of SLE. Which one in particular now have you been diagnosed with? And are there any other riding ailments that have come with it?
Daktari.
No, we'll get to Doc, because now Doc will tell us the different ailments of lupus. But Doc, if you're okay, you can answer first the different types of lupus that we have, and then now Victoria will give us her own.
I think the Victoria's situation has got many factors.
Okay.
I think she was born premature, and that may not have been lupus. You know, prematurity has got its own problems. You know, when you are born at 6 months or thereabouts, so what she described, you come out to the world when you are not ready. There are some organs which are not fully developed. The heart is not fully developed. There are still holes. We are still adapted to the environment in the uterus. So those are there. But broadly speaking, you can have what we call neonatal lupus. Okay. Neonatal lupus is you are born with it, and it comes as a result of when your mother has got those antibodies and they are passing the uterus, and you can be born with skin rash and congenital heart block. You are born with lupus. Okay. So that is there. But you can also develop lupus as a child when you come with arthritis and skin rashes and all the other ulcers and so forth. The lupus in children is usually very severe, and because of the late diagnosis, you make a diagnosis when there are already complications, when there are complications, and therefore the mortality tends to be higher. Right. But you can also have what we call the systemic lupus, which present the way I described, with all the systems involved. Yeah. Then you have discoid lupus. Discoid lupus is just disfiguring. It disfigures that you have no hair, you have very deep skin rashes, but the systems are generally not involved. And then you have others which just affect the skin with the severe skin ulcers and so forth, and affecting the blood vessels. So, but the one that we are talking, when you hear about lupus, we are just talking about the wolf, the one which affects every part of the body. And the nun who first described it, who is a teen, the sister said, I'm tired. She said, I'm tired of being tired. That's number one. Tiredness is a big problem. Then number two, I'm tired of being sick. So lupus patients are always tired of being tired and tired of being sick. And therefore, there's need for us to understand lupus generally, especially the teachers.
Right. Because
these are patients who are unable to attend to, they cannot do the things that a normal person do it with that kind of perfection, because they are slowed down by the periods of sicknesses. Right. So there's absenteeism from your work or from your situation where you're supposed to be. But also they have another concept that we call presentism.
Okay.
Presentism is a situation where you are present but not useful.
You're not there.
Yeah, you are present. So if you want them to be present and not useful, they can be present.
Okay.
They can be present in class and not understanding what's going on in the class.
Okay.
Somebody can be present at work and he's not working.
That is
called present.
Because I would not have explained it like that.
Okay.
You see, that's why I said daktari.
Yeah.
Because I would not have explained it like that.
Okay.
But that's the reality, right?
Yeah.
You can have me like, is it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday night I was having a meeting and I was the one moderating. Let me tell you. It reached a point I was like, anyone else who can help, kindly help. Because at this point, I cannot do anything, but I'm present, right? Yeah.
Okay.
So you are present but not contributing. And that's a common problem.
Yeah.
So what we try to do is that you have to gauge, even if it's a worker, these lupus patients, how much, normally we want to keep our patients working.
Yes.
We don't want them. Most people come and tell me, like yesterday, somebody, an employer tell me, can you write for this patient to go to retire on medical grounds? And I refused. Yeah. Because I said, it is up to you to decide how much can this patient do. So you decide whether you are going to pay this patient for 1 hour's work, if that's what she's capable of doing. It does not mean that everybody must work for 8 hours.
Yeah.
You can create a job situation where somebody comes and works 1 hour and you pay them for that. Instead of, because once I tell her to go home on retirement, there's the end of social interaction, the end of medical cover, and I'm trying to confine that patient to go and die. Once you remove medical cover, the patient will not contribute to SHA or whatever, and will die. So we want the patient to remain working as long as possible. And that's why even the retirement age for those who are disabled is higher than others. And lupus is disability because they have mental disability. It's an invisible disability. And that's why we satisfy them as disabled, so that they are allowed to stay longer at work. But they should not be confined to 8 hours or something, or say working 5 hours in a day or 40 hours in a week. You just have to know this is a patient with lupus, and how not even just lupus, even arthritis or even back pain. How much can this person do? And how many hours can they contribute? And you fashion out that one. And that's why we are thinking that the CBC, this educational program, competency-based, you judge this child. What can this child do? Can this child do chemistry? Can this child do physics? No. If the answer is no, then you find out what can this child do. If it is CRE or something, you write them into that. And this is what they can do, and you make them something which can be learned by even 1 hour. You go to school for 1 hour and you can pick something. It does not mean that you have to be in school the whole day to learn. You can be present and learning nothing. You understand?
But Prof, you know how our systems have been derived. Victoria even did mention that in school she experienced discrimination from the teachers.
Yes.
She didn't talk about first discrimination for her fellow colleagues or her fellow students. The other thing also in the Kenyan working system, in as much as yes, there was the push and it was indeed consented for the extension of those with disabilities to still be employed, there are still certain discriminatory factors that come into play in institutions when it comes to such a case. Someone will not be able to understand. As Victoria said, not everyone is emotionally mature and mentally mature to understand such ailments. They are now understanding. Like I'm sure some of them are watching. They'll watch us on YouTube. We are saying that you should stop discrimination. You know one of the things, do you know how even the stigma for HIV disappeared? Right.
People were being sacked and so forth.
Yeah.
So one day, the one sacking you discovered that he's also HIV positive. You understand? So they changed, and that's how HIV now, you cannot be sacked now because we're HIV positive.
Yeah.
Because the guy sacking you may also be HIV positive. So, you see, once you know that this is the situation and this is a common problem, and that you are relative, you can sack me today, and tomorrow your daughter or your wife develops lupus. How will you want your wife to be treated? But we should understand that not everybody is going to do everything. And not everybody needs to be present at work for 8 hours. Somebody can come for 1 hour, or somebody can work from home in the computer and discharge be more productive than the person hanging around
within the office.
Yes.
All right. Let me read some of the feedback that has just come in. There's feedback that has just come in through our WhatsApp. We have hi NTV watching from Karen. First, tell Victoria she's too beautiful and blessed. Victoria, that is a compliment for you. You are beautiful and blessed, girl. Ask Daktari, how is lupus related to allergies? That's a question for you, Professor. I also have the questions. Others are saying the problem is that with school is that it is led by Catholic brothers who think they can sleep with any girl around. I believe I have caught that message halfway. Hello, I'm S. I'm also a lupus warrior for 13 years now. I started ailing when I was 12 and got the diagnosis when I was 21. The first symptoms were high fever and chills, then progressed to skin issues when I was 15. Facial rashes, legs and fingers swelling, ulcers on my back and legs. The leg ulcers cleared at around 19 years before the diagnosis and left some scars. I started my proper medication journey after 8 years of several misdiagnoses. The experience has not been easy, especially as an adult trying to figure out how I shall be able to move forward. While anxiety issues, and there are lots of hope to keep pushing. Hashtag Your World NTV. We have more feedback coming in. Thank you so much for the ongoing feedback. One of the key things that has come out even here has been mentioned is the fact that Prof. S has also spoken about cases of misdiagnosis as well. When we come back, we'll delve more into this particular ailment and some of the issues that have actually been raised from your feedback. Thank you so much for always keeping it your world. We're taking another short break here. Don't go too much. Give us your feedback on our social media platforms. That is NTV Kenya on X, NTV Kenya on Instagram, and kindly give us your feedback on our WhatsApp number, which has been shared right below the screen. We'll be back. Welcome back to Your World. It's Wednesday. We talk everything health. Today we're still talking about lupus with my guest Victoria Kiende, who is a lupus warrior, and Professor Oyoo, who is a rheumatologist, making us understand in depth what exactly lupus is, what are the signs and symptoms, and the cost of treatment, which we will get into before we close the show. Back to you, Victoria. What point exactly, or rather, at what age exactly were you now given a proper diagnosis that, hey, this is what exactly you're suffering from, this is lupus, and were there any other riding ailments that now have come with it?
Okay, so for me, my first diagnosis was not lupus. My first proper diagnosis was not lupus. It was juvenile idiopathic arthritis, or JRA.
Yeah.
So I was 14, and then lupus came after. I think there's a correlation, and I was just discussing this last year in December with a rheumatologist. I think that there's a correlation of how, like, you can go accumulating autoimmune diseases, especially within the same rheumatology family. So for me, that was the first diagnosis, and then now later now lupus came as it didn't start as lupus, though there were all this. No, the tricky thing about autoimmune diseases is it presents, because since my diagnosis with lupus, I'm like, what are the new things? My hair started falling when I was 12.
Oh no.
Yeah, I used to have really bad sores on my head, and my skin sensitivity to the sun, I always just knew I couldn't go out in the sun. If it's a sunny day, I can't go out. I can't be out where people are at events. I can't go for sleepovers. But that was not, like he said, sometimes it's not lupus yet, right?
Yeah.
So it started as GRA and then now lupus. Yes.
Wow.
So they can present the same. It's just that now can also develop on top of that, and even after lupus, that's not the end of the diagnosis. Like something else can come on top. So that's yeah.
When you talk about your hair starting to fall off at a tender age, we women, when we are growing up, we're told our hair is our crown. And even as women, we help fix each other's crowns, not necessarily in hair here.
Yeah.
But how did this affect your self-esteem growing up? And did you have friends? Did they understand what you were going through?
Now, I think it has a lot to do with how I perceive beauty now, because now physically I didn't see myself as beautiful for so many years. So there's that. My eyes were always completely white, like white. And that was different from everyone else. And people kept pointing it out. I was so pale all the time. And then I had a protruding stomach. There's an issue with girls also and flat tummies.
Yes.
So you're a young girl and everyone has, like, their bodies are blossoming and you're like, what is going on with mine? I never used to wear dresses because now I'm skinny and I have a big tummy and there's your hair is falling out. I remember my mom said like, when a baby is born, the hair starts growing. My hair started growing when I was past 4 years old. So already I was a baldy for like a couple of years. But now you're older. You're like in primary, you're at the adolescent age. People are starting to become like this beautiful young women and you're like, And it stayed like that for so many years. I got now my body, this body, when I was almost getting done with high school. So it's like, I had to find like what's beauty. So for a long time, if you're not telling me I'm brilliant, and you're not telling me I'm intelligent, I cannot believe what you're saying, because what are you saying? I'm beautiful? What do you even mean? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Because there's this version of beauty that you had. So my self-esteem was very low for so many years. For so many years. Because of now you're born into this world that has a version of what beauty is, what a woman should look like, and all that, and you're not that, right? I used to want to just be curvy and just have like be thick and nice, like African woman. Until I realized we can look so, like we can have everyone looking differently, and we are all beautiful, right? But it didn't come then. I'm still learning that about myself, because sometimes your face will be so badly affected, and now you're like, there are times I'm like, I can't go out. I am not going out. I no, people cannot see me like this. Even though I have issues way above that. I have like, I don't like when there are times I've been on the wheelchair, and I'm like, I don't like when the invisible part of the illness starts becoming visible, and everyone can see, and everyone is asking you questions, and there's this pity, and there's this, they're walking on eggshells around you, you're like glass to them. I don't like that, because I think and maybe this is a bad thing from our end, every warrior just wants to feel like a normal person. And that's a bad thing, because if we keep propagating the notion of I'm normal, then that means all this advocating for better systems in the workplace, better systems for us out here in society, then what does that mean if you keep saying you're normal, right? So I think now I'm getting to a place where I'm like, I'm not, and that's okay. I can't do what you can do, and that's okay. I can't be out here, I can't go out 3 days in a row, and that's okay. That's how my system works, right? It's not a bad thing. It's not necessarily something to put me down. I think now also telling my story is a big part of owning who I am in all its totality. It's not, I'll say as much as I'm comfortable so that you guys don't start walking on eggshells. Because this is a platform that everyone is watching, right? You don't know who's watching. And it's a big leap of faith to just say, I believe in who I am, and this far, that again, the issue of faith, finding your identity now for me, finding my identity in Christ, and accepting that I'm not bewitched, because how can you be bewitched and you're a child of God? Like there are realms that we are past, right? So accepting those truths and learning to take in those as my truths now has made me more confident and able to now be like, no, I cannot do that. Like, for example, I can't go partying. I have nothing against you guys, but noise is a trigger for me. And being out late at night in the cold and up on my feet, what? I can't do that, you get? And that's okay. It's not a bad thing. It just means your friends have to be like, now if someone has 500, you have like 5, and that's okay.
Can you also say then the fact that Prof also did mention many turn to religion as a source of hope. For you, you've mentioned that it came to a turning point where you now actually did turn to religion, you turned to God. And when you were looking at yourself as not beautiful, has that journey shaped your life in the sense that now you look at yourself like you are worthy? Because there's a girl who's watching you, or a young girl who's watching you, probably undergoing the same thing, could be depressed. Actually, and you could actually even just help her. Did you go through a certain period of mental instability that you felt what's going on? And how did you regain that strength?
Now, the first time my doctor, I was admitted, and he wrote, I am supposed to see a therapist. I remember the first session. I was sat there like, what do you think you're about to tell me? You want me to start talking about my issues? What is wrong with you? So I'm sat there, and in me, I have the resolve of, I'm not sharing anything. You do what you want to do. So I'm sat there, and at 17, I remember one doctor telling my mom, I was just getting done with my physiotherapy session, and one doctor pulled my mom aside, and she was like, and I could hear, they didn't know I could hear, I think your doctor is clinically depressed.
Oh.
And I'm like, what is that? Like, I know depression from like people in high school keep saying, oh, you know me, I'm depressed. So that's how I knew like there's depression.
Right.
But now a doctor saying you're clinically depressed, because now that's a whole different ball game, right? But I had been on antidepressants all my life. So I'm like, so I need to start seeing a therapist. I have never been a fan of that. But what that did for me, it made a resolve, like it renewed a resolve in me to now find mental stability and capacity to hold the pain. Because I think a big chunk of depression is you do not have the capacity to hold what is happening, right? So that processing and that, so it's not like I said, oh, I'll stop taking the antidepressants, no. But I now started finding, so outside of the therapy, now what works for me as Victoria. And I had always had the faith of, I think I had a pretty different relationship actually with God because of all I had been through. But now it deepened and became now my primary, like my most important resolve in life is to glorify God.
Right.
Because you don't know when is your last breath. You don't know. We've had a lot of scares, so you don't know. But that now became a cushion for me for any time I feel like you might not be able to understand as my doctor. My mom might not be able to even understand what is going on in my body that day, and I might not have the words to describe it, and I might not be able to explain myself, right?
Yeah.
But there's the God who fashioned me, the God who formed me. There's nothing that he is not seeing or he has not seen before.
Yeah.
I keep saying my case cannot be that different, that he's never seen it, he's never heard of it, he cannot handle it. So that is my go-to for everyone. And I'm not saying do that like the way people say, okay, fine, we got a diagnosis, now let's go and pray. And you abandon medicine, you abandon the doctor, you go and pray.
Right.
And it's not because of finances and all that, you just don't want. My daughter cannot have, you understand? It's okay, fine. So this is where we are at, and trusting God to get you through the process, and still working with your doctor, still taking the medication, even when you feel very tired, because there's that, I'm really tired of taking, because you take so many medications, like in a day, many pills, like over 10 in a day. Now that's like
per hour or per
no, like
morning,
you have
evening?
Night medication and day, and night sometimes they exceed 10, right? And the morning ones are not even, that those are different. So having that feeling of I'm really tired of just being sick. I just want to feel like how a healthy body functions. I think I also have upper hand because I don't know how a normal body functions. So that's good.
Right.
Yeah, so there's that capacity that I have that many don't, versus those people who've been diagnosed when they're in their late years. So I think, yeah, that's what I'd say.
Okay.
Just holding on to your faith and finding what works for you, finding a system to accommodate your body. Yeah.
All right. Prof, according to a WHO report, lupus often affects women. Why is this the case?
Yeah, it has been observed that out of 10 patients, 9 are women,
Yes.
1 is a man.
Yes.
That's the general global trend. But here what we are observing, we are seeing much more women. Our ratios are almost going to 20 to 1.
Yes.
Although right now we are doing a registry for lupus, we will come out with that figure. But it is the women, not just women, women of reproductive age, that there's something about the estrogen. Because reproductive age, you have a high percentage, high concentration of estrogen, the hormone that regulates fertility, periods, and all that.
Yeah.
So at that point, the estrogen tries to work together with the gene and the environment to enhance the expression of lupus. So there's a protection that men get for absence of estrogen. No, to low estrogen levels in the system. Men also have some level of estrogen, but the low estrogen protects them, is protective. And therefore, that's why we see it more in women, especially of reproductive age, because of the estrogen. As it were, there's a way the estrogen will work with the environment, with the cells, and the various chemicals of the body to allow the manifestation of lupus. So we see that, and that's why it also has got many complications during pregnancy because of the changes that take place within the body during pregnancy. But that is not to mean that a lupus patient should not get pregnant.
Okay.
They can. What we do is that the pregnancy must both be planned for and wanted. You plan for it and want it.
Okay.
You don't just say, oops, I missed my period. Because when you plan for it, we make sure that the lupus is well controlled before you conception, so that we increase the chances, we reduce the complication that can occur, and reduce the chances of a successful pregnancy. So we have to check, make sure your kidney is okay, their liver is okay, and you don't have, there are some antibodies in the body, which some lupus patients have, we call them antiphospholipid antibodies, which increases the chances of abortion, developing deep venous thrombosis, clotting of blood within the placenta, and bring complications. So women are more in that sense. But we are now doing a registry, a national registry. We have just started with the help of a student, a PhD student from Liverpool. We have established a registry for lupus, and we are going to try as much as possible to understand how much lupus we have in this country.
Right. I was actually going to ask you that, Prof. One of the key things that even in my own research before the show was the fact that Kenya does not have sufficient data when it comes to lupus. Yet lupus is not a rare disease. Oftentimes rare diseases are the ones not given so much concentration. So why is it the case that we are saying, yes, we're pushing for universal health care, we're pushing for devolution of health care in the country to ensure that Kenya becomes a hub, but when it comes to critical ailments, we don't have sufficient data?
You know, Kenya has been, like other developing African countries, we have focused on infectious diseases, like TB, malaria, cholera, and those kind of things. And that's where there's a lot of focus.
Right.
But we are now caught up in a situation we have both infectious diseases and non-infectious diseases.
Yes.
We have our equal shares of cancers, hypertension, diabetes, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, and so forth. That's number one. Number two, we do not, we pay lip service to research. You know, there's no, we have research bodies, but there's no funding given for research by the national treasury. During budgeting, you must enable the people to give you data from data that you can use to make policies. We do not put enough research in health research that can help. We researchers are left grouping and have to rely on foreigners, write a proposal, take it to America. If you get somebody who is interested in your things, we'll give you some money. But there must be a conscious decision by the Ministry of Health, by the Ministry of Education, by the government to put money so that information can come out. There's no need of setting up a body for research and starve it of funds, or setting up national universities and they're always broke. It is the work of the government to fund even the university, even high schools. You know, a public university is not supposed to generate funds. It is supposed to be funded by the government. So that it is the people there are working and giving research and helping the government with information to get policy. So we do not have money to help us to do that. But however, we are working with the collaborators internationally. You know, the world is a global village, and they know our plight. They help us sometimes. So that right now, with the help of University of Liverpool, we are putting up a registry. And we are going to, within the next 1 year, we'll be able to tell you about lupus in greater details. But we would like to do that about all rheumatic diseases.
Right.
Although there are some using artificial intelligence and so forth, there are ways of coming up with estimating figures, and you can estimate and say lupus is 0.1% or 1%, rheumatoid arthritis is 1%, this is that. But that's one. But we also need to know, find this 1%, who are they? What kind of chemical, what kind of presentation do they have, what complications? Because that one will help you even to bring in drugs, to stock laboratories, to stock drugs, to be prepared, to be prepared. You cannot be prepared by just having NHIA. Even if I give you insurance and there's no laboratory test in the hospital where I've sent you, or there's no medicine, what will that help you with? You know, it's very frustrating, especially for me, because when I started practicing, there were even no drugs for lupus. There were no, there were no laboratory tests.
Yes.
So once I go for an international conference, I know this drug is manufactured by this company, and this company has an office in Kenya. I come here and go to the office and tell them, why don't we have this drug here? Then when the drug is expensive, when I have an opportunity to go to India, I check which drug, who is manufacturing this drug, why can't he bring it to Kenya? And that's how now the other rheumatologists practicing now are having it easy. They have no idea that when I started practicing, these drugs were not there.
Right. And actually, we're going to come to the cost of treatment.
Yes.
Usikasirike sana, Prof.
Yeah, I'm happy that we cannot put our money where our I don't know how to put it, our mouth is. Yes. Yeah, we cannot say we care about Kenyans when we cannot invest and put money for research. We cannot support the universities where the academicians and researchers work. We allow them just groping like this. You know, when you take taxes from the people, you are supposed to fund education and fund health. That's when you are a government.
When it comes to lupus and the genetic predisposition of lupus, from your research in Kenya specifically, is it associated with particular regions, or the genetic pool is across the board?
We have seen it across the board. You know, right now when I'm practicing in Nairobi, I might say it is more common in Central Province. But because I practice in Central Province, they're the ones who come. But when I go to Kisumu, I still see lupus with that region, from coming from Kakamega and everywhere. When I go to Mombasa, because we have a clinic that we run in Mombasa, we have a clinic we run in Kisumu, we have clinics in Nairobi. So we are able to see it everywhere. So right now, but this, is there any genetic predisposition? Is there any ethno-linguistic predisposition? I've seen even from Garissa, patients with lupus, many of them. So we are going to, those are the questions we are going to answer from our registry, whether there's any predisposition. But from a global, from an eyeball impression, I think it is everywhere. I've seen from Turkana, from Somali, from Giriama, from Luo, Luya, everywhere. From Rift Valley, everybody is involved. So we need to have our policy orientation should bear that one in mind. But the most important thing is that lupus patients can lead a normal life. Most of them are normal. Don't think she's normal. She's not a typical one. These ones are the ones with problems. Majority have no problem.
What do you mean by that?
You know, lupus, when you talk about lupus, you are talking about like a road accident. You know, if a matatu rolls here now, you as a journalist, you'll say, 2 people die in greasy road accident. And me, as a professional, I'll say 18 people survive with no injuries. That's what... That's,
language.
Yes.
How we phrase the sentences.
Yes. So the lupus that we hear about, you know, are the ones who are talking. But the majority who are leading a normal life, not taking any medication, we are just following them up, are leading normal lives, and we just keep a tab on them, that if you have any problem, you can come. Many of them, the majority, are not even on medications. Some of them are on medication because one of the most difficult things for a doctor is to make a diagnosis and tell a patient to go without prescription. Not issuing a prescription is very hard for many doctors. Even somebody who does not need a prescription. And you know this,
Is it an itch?
It's not
a
an
doctor's
itch.
itch.
It could be an itch, but they don't understand what I normally tell my students.
Right.
That there are many people who would be alive today if they did not go to see a doctor. Because this medicine also can be a problem.
Yeah.
So you must resist the temptation of a prescription. Unfortunately, these days, even if you have a problem, you leave the doctor's office with 10 medications. and even taking those 10 medications is a challenge.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Professor Oyoo. Just to remind you of our question of the day, we will put up the question of the day on the screen. Imagine waking up tired every day, no matter how much you sleep. What would you change about your life? From Victoria's brief explainer on how her journey has been, she said she wakes up some days tired, just not wanting to do anything, not wanting anyone to touch her. You might be watching us and that could be a similar scenario that you're undergoing. Imagine waking up every day tired. What is it that you would change about your life? That question takes us on a short break here on Your World. Don't go too far. We'll be back with the cost of treatment. Welcome back to the show where we're talking about lupus, the cost of treatment, what exactly is the ailment, and just to understand a lupus warrior's journey. I'm joined by Victoria Kiende, who's a lupus warrior, and Professor Oyoo, who's a rheumatologist, who has been talking to us about the journey of a lupus warrior, or rather the journey of a lupus patient, and the cost of treatment, the diagnosis in Kenya, and even whether we have sufficient data. Professor Oyoo, one of the key things that you did mention before we went on the break was the fact that there were no drugs for lupus in the country in health facilities. How is the scenario now across public facilities? Do we have available drugs for lupus, and how much is the cost of treatment? Victoria said she takes close to more than 10 pills in a day. That's taskful for a patient, for an ill person. And as a matter of fact, does lupus have a cure, and do we have the cure?
Thank you very much. The question is loaded.
Yes.
Because I told you, lupus is got a multifaceted disease.
Yes.
Somebody asked, is there an association between lupus and allergy? You know, lupus is an allergy of sorts, because what is allergy? Your body is the one causing the problem. And allergic situations are very common in lupus. So they are relatives of sorts. But what is the most expensive part of lupus? It is the initial diagnosis, because the laboratory tests are expensive, but the follow-up tests are not very expensive. Secondly, the drugs that are used for treating lupus may not have been there, but they are now available. Hydroxychloroquine, chloroquine, which had vanished, we need it back. Prednisone, azathioprine. So the drugs are there for managing lupus. The only problem that lupus has got many complications. So the ones who you see taking many drugs have got many problems. Sometimes they have diabetes, because diabetes is also an autoimmune disease, part of it. So you can develop diabetes on top of lupus. You can develop kidney problem on top of lupus. You can develop neurological problems. You can develop brain fog. So those are the ones which determine how many more drugs that you are going to take. But basically, the key drug in lupus is hydroxychloroquine, which is much available. And as you develop other complications or other disease activity, we add more drugs. So broadly speaking, the drugs are available in Kenya. Whether they are available in public health facilities is back and forth, because public health facilities are not well stocked all the time with medication. The laboratories are wanting in public health facilities. They are not helpful to us who are practicing rheumatology, and we wish them to be more helpful. And number two, the drugs some can be available because they are not very expensive, and they can be available. And treating lupus is cheaper than even treating HIV. You know, HIV appears cheap because they go for free, because somebody else is meeting the cost.
Right.
It's not that the drugs are cheap, somebody else is meeting the cost. But even lupus the cost can be taken over by the government. Musculoskeletal disease can be taken over by the government. So the drugs are available. But we have key drugs, or higher advanced drugs, which are now helping the kidney and other complications, which have not yet reached the country. But since everything else, the top of the range suits, the top of range watches, the top of range cars are in the country, we should also strive to bring some of these drugs so that those who can afford them or those who need them can have them. Yeah, the same way a politician will drive the latest Toyota in the market or so those things should also be available. Yeah, we can't have some people wearing the most expensive suits in the world here and the drugs, most expensive drugs are not available. We should just be developed in all aspects. So I think we can, inawezekana. Hizo madawa zinaweza kukua hapa if we decide in our minds that they should be available. But the goodness is that sometimes because of research, we are able to collaborate with our colleagues in the UK, in the US, and our patients can be exposed to these drugs.
How much is the cost of treatment? And for a lupus patient walking into a public facility, can they be able to use the Social Health Authority cover, the SHA cover?
The SHA cover, I don't understand it very well because it is still in formation. But when you talk about NHIF, then we were still fighting to have lupus patients covered by NHIF. And this is the discussion we are holding with NHIF before it was disbanded and another one brought in. But I think it is cheaper to treat lupus than to treat kidney disease or to treat cancers. Cancers are more expensive than lupus. So I cannot to say the basic drug for treating lupus is hydroxychloroquine, which used to be about 20 shillings per tablet, and they need 2 tablets a day. But when COVID came and it was said that hydroxychloroquine can treat COVID, the price went up to 100 shillings per tablet. Now it has come back to around 50. It never came back to base. And these are some of the regulations that needs to be done. You regulate these drugs, the cost of these drugs, remove zero tax them, zero rate the taxing, so that the patients can be able to afford them, because these patients taken for over a long period. So it's not very expensive. So that's the basic drug. The other one is prednisone, which is very reasonably cheap. The only problem comes when you have hypertension, you have kidney problems, you need some other, you have some psychological problems, then you end up with many drugs, because hypertension is a common complication, diabetes, psychological issues. So that's how you end up with 10 drugs or something. But lupus is not very expensive, but difficult to diagnose. It is expensive in terms of acceptance by the patient. Many patients spend a lot of time on the value of decision. The value of decision to decide whether to accept that I have lupus or not. And they are helped by the environment that says you are bewitched or something. So that value of decision, you go like this, you are taking drugs, playing hide and seek with your doctor. In the process, you end up with complications. And therefore your treatment becomes expensive. You have to go to dialysis, you have to see a psychiatrist and so forth. So I think as we enlighten the public the way you are doing, we will, the cost will be reduced, because the smallest problem in the world would have been solved if it was picked early. Once you pick it early and the person accepts and you start the treatment, the problem is solved, and it will be cheaper. It will be cheaper.
You're speaking and Victoria is smiling from ear to ear. She clearly has experienced the journey of acquiring this particular medication. How has the cost been for you before I get back to Professor?
Now, for me, because I have certain allergies, my primary medication is not hydro, but that one. So in our family, we call him an intervention doctor. So he's the doctor you go to when all has failed, and he's the one who fixes things, like the fixer. Right? So what I can say is the cost of medication is very expensive. But like you said, to those of us who have other issues as well, right? So for me, like just my painkiller is about 85 bob per day, just painkiller. So you've not touched on any other thing. Like one of the medicines I take for my brain is 135 per day. That's like one. So if you add all those 10 tablets and you do the math, it's a lot of money, right? And then now coming to the consultation fees and going back to the tests, because for some of us, you just want to do them on the day you get diagnosed, and that's that.
Yeah.
You keep doing them after a couple of months, and it's costly. So I used to have insurance, but now having to do that out of pocket, because also insurance covers are very tricky.
Okay.
Yeah, especially for individual like covers. It's very tricky. So I'd say we still have a very long way to go. But now when I think on 9th of May of this year, I had him give a speech about how there was no access to these medications to begin with. I'm like, oh, okay, we're complaining, yes, and we need to do so much more, but we've done a lot as well. So there's that. And for those who don't have allergies for many kind of medications, now I think for them it's a bit cheaper.
Okay.
They can be able to get better access to medication.
Okay.
But we still have a long way to go. Again, on the research, again, on the medical insurance cover, the one that is now SHA. Yeah, I think they need to do a lot more for patients with lupus and other autoimmune diseases. Yeah, that's what I'd say.
Lupus can cost between 1,000 to 5,000 shillings per day. And the problem with SHA is angling toward inpatient. But no, we would want to keep our patients out of the hospital. And we would want them to keep on working. Even if they are working 1 hour in a day. Because when you take them to hospital, they can also, because their immunity is down, they'll catch other diseases inside there. So we'd like to keep our patients as much as possible out of the hospital. And you know, even other insurances, they give you 10 million on inpatient and 200,000 or 100,000 outpatient. 100,000 will be cleared by one test in lupus. So we need to also look at our insurances. How are they helping? You know, what they do in the United Kingdom, the NHS, they put more money on outpatient. They also want to keep patients out. So the insurance, the UK have got more money outpatient than inpatient. They want to keep your patients out. So we should also, if you want to care about our patients, we must care. We must care. You know, if I give you 100,000 shilling outpatient and then 10 million inpatient, I've not helped you. Because, for example, if you're diabetic or hypertensive, what will you go to do in the hospital? You'll be going for prescription. And one prescription can wipe out that thing, and yet you are supposed to have that 100,000 for the whole family for the whole year. So we need to be serious, even how we package our insurances. We should.
Doc, the conversation is quite enlightening. I'm just receiving feedback on my phone. Someone is asking, ask Daktari, how effective is Lefno and Dynacort combination?
Dynacort is a steroid. Dynacort is deflazacort. It's one of the steroids, an alternate to prednisone, and it's effective given the right doses and for the right indication. It's very effective. Leflunomide is another medication that is immunosuppressant, that is used for rheumatoid arthritis and can be used for lupus, and they are all effective. But you know, it depends on if it's targeted for the right indication and the right dosage. But they are fairly effective and very much available. It's only the supply is erratic, especially for leflunomide. Sometimes it's not available for a long time, then it becomes available, and it's all imported. But we thought that when there was talk of establishing local manufacturing, that some of these issues would be addressed. But we have not seen any fruits in that direction.
What is the future of lupus? When we come to certain ailments, we know we're talking about now the advancement of AI. There is gene editing that is currently ongoing, advanced in the US. We have right now CRISPR-Cas9. This is being advanced in ailments such as sickle cell. Is there any opportunity for there to be gene editing for lupus?
No, what we're trying to do is what is the importance of knowing somebody who has got the lupus genes? And how will you make use of this information? That's one of the things, the thoughts that are there. Is it possible to prevent lupus or rheumatoid arthritis before it occurs? Suppose I find you have genes. What do I do with you? So in rheumatoid arthritis, there's already something going on. But what is going on is that once you identify somebody, there's some medications you start giving this to somebody so that he does not develop. the lupus. That gene
Yeah.
does not develop. And you try to find out what diet does this somebody need to have, what medication should he have, so that it does not develop. And even if you get it early, ours right now, right now we're talking about early diagnosis and predicting which patient is likely to be more severe and which patient is likely to respond to what condition. So that genes will help us to target. We call it targeted treatment, and based on the genes, because every lupus patient, they have got different genes. We are going to determine this lupus patient, the one with kidney disease, the one with the what are the genetic differences, and what can you do once you identify this gene? What can you do? And that's where we are moving at. Genetics will help us to precisely, we call precise treatment, so that you don't do machine gun therapy. You say, if this one has got this gene, I should give him this medication and it's going to respond. And I think we are not yet there here. But those are the areas guiding these studies.
Yeah.
But lupus has been an orphan disease for a long time.
Yeah.
But it took a long time before any new disease, any medication. Prednisone in rheumatology was the first drug that a rheumatologist, got a Nobel Prize for. Prednisone.
Yeah.
And that was in the 50s. And it took so long, after I took so long, to get another medicine. So recently is when we got belimumab. In the 2000s here. Now we have got newer drugs. So there are we are still looking for better drugs to manage lupus as it is. But we are also now trying to prevent lupus by finding out the genes and saying, what are we going to do with this patient with these genes so that it does not develop lupus.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Professor Oyoo. I have more feedback just coming in. Nancy Abbott says, Dr. Omondi Oyoo was my doctor at Mata Hospital. Happy to see him. Actually, he is right. They really tried my case until eventually I had to go back. Now I am healed in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen. Maureen Sarah says, Professor Omondi Oyoo is a great doctor who doesn't rush. Receive your flowers, Professor. He has handled Victoria with the utmost care and has saved her from physical disability, which would have been the case by now. Wow. Becky says, with the lupus, one day you're fine, the next, crawling to the bathroom. Very unpredictable indeed, and people think you're lazy. Some of the feedback that's just coming in. Thank you so much for the feedback. As I said earlier, send us your feedback on our NTV platforms. That's NTV Kenya on Instagram, NTV Kenya on X and YouTube, as well as our WhatsApp number, which is going to be shared just below the screen. Well, Maureen has really given you your flowers for working with Victoria so much. But now, on a lighter note, Victoria, tell us, you're a very beautiful girl. Are you dating, or how has this journey impacted your dating life?
So I'm not. I think because of all that I've been through and all I go through, it just isn't. Like marriage and having babies, it's just not in the books for me as like preference. Yeah, but Daktari keeps saying I have to get married.
Yeah.
But I don't, I never fantasized of a wedding or like, so it has impacted my relationship because now the way I see it, I just don't want to get into another, it's like a responsibility, and already taking care of myself every day is a responsibility, and it's a lot of work. So I don't want to put that on anyone that is not my mother. I don't want to put that on anyone else. Yeah, and I just don't want the whole, you get a child and then there's already, yes, you can get to full term and get a healthy baby, but there's a high risk of that baby getting an autoimmune disease. Doesn't have to be lupus, doesn't have to be what I have gone through, but something else. And just that thought, knowing what I've been through, I'm like, at 17, my mom sat me down and she was like, there are many ways to become a mother. I was like, yeah. And she was like, it's not wrong if you adapt, it's not wrong if... And now I just feel like if I want to be a mother, I can adopt a child.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's challenging because, what we need, the environment is not helpful for relationships, especially within the family, for lupus. Because, paying for a chronic medical problem, long-term medical out of pocket is draining to the family. And the husband can look at you as a source of problems, a source of draining the family income. It's always okay when the husband is the one who is sick, but when the wife is sick, the things become very difficult. The African setting says the woman must cook and all that. A lupus patient may not be able to cook every day. May not be able to, and that can strain. But I think if we can have a really universal health cover, where the family does not feel the pinch, no family, one of the tenets of health cover, no family should get poor because of health problems. But that's not the reality. Families are getting poor. People are getting divorced. People are selling land because of health. When we said universal health cover, that's one of the things we are going to cure. And I'm hoping that one day we will put our mouth where our money is, where our mouth is. That we are going to actually give universal health cover that will solve family tension. Divorces, depression, separation is very common with my lupus patients. And I think we need to deal with that.
All right. We have 3 minutes before we close. 1 minute parting shot. And Daktari, 1 minute. Just 1 minute parting shot.
Okay. So my parting shot would be actually something that we're working on in terms of fundraising for warriors who've gone for over 6 months without medication, without seeing a doctor. So we're working towards a picnic that is going to be on the 27th of September. It's meant to be a fundraising kind of an event for people who have no access to healthcare, as you're saying, to support them for a couple of months. So it's going to be on the 27th of September. I'd say people can look out for it on social media. At Lupus Foundation of Africa, we have a partnership with the Rotary Club of Athi River. That's what we're currently working on for those patients. It was a conversation that was raised after the 10th of May, which is Lupus Awareness Day.
All right. Thank you so much, Daktari.
I think that we are currently having centers where we are doing a census for lupus. We have us in Mata Hospital, Aga Khan Hospital, Kenyatta National Hospital, at the Nairobi Athletics Clinic, at Aga Khan Hospital in Kisumu, JOTRH in Kisumu, and at Mombasa Hospital, and soon at MTRH. I will encourage lupus patients to come because we want to know who is the patient with lupus, what are their characteristics, what problems are they facing, so that we are able to come out with information that is going to help all patients with lupus. And secondly, we want the patient to form formidable patient groups which can help with the advocacy and policy formulation. The zero rating of the HIV drugs was not done from outside. It's the patients who came together and demanded from the government. If these people can come, and there are more than HIV patients, they can also be considered. And finally, those who certify patients as for disability should stop stressing patients. They are demanding so much. After I've written a letter, this patient has lupus and should be certified disabled. Why are they sending the patient back and forth? The fact that you are put on the desk to certify patients, you should be helpful. Don't put burden on people who are already overburdened. But otherwise, lupus are normal and can lead a normal life. And they are usually young, beautiful ladies, and they can reproduce and have children like any other patient.
There's someone who's watching and they would like to know how to contact you or where to find you. Would you be open to share that information, where they can find you?
Yes, my office is at 40 Suites, first floor, room number 10. But I do a clinic at Kenyatta National Hospital. The rheumatology clinic for lupus patients specifically is on Tuesday afternoon. And we also have a clinic in Mata Hospital on Wednesday morning, like now. Today I was supposed to be at Mata Hospital and the patient they are watching. And also I do a clinic at Mombasa Hospital once a month on a Sunday, and also once a month at the Aga Khan Hospital in Kisumu. So lupus keeps me busy. And I'm a rheumatologist because of lupus.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Before we close, Victoria, I'd just like to encourage you as your big sister. I'd like to remind you that you are beautiful.
Thank you.
You are loved, not only by your family, but even the people who are around you, who you encourage. May you continue even encouraging other girls who are going through a similar journey. Not even necessarily lupus, but even just a journey in life of finding one's identity. The fact that you found your identity is encouraging, and keep on holding on, pushing, be resilient, and believe that you will accomplish much. So do not think that you are not beautiful according to the worldly standards. You are a beautiful girl, in and out. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for keeping us company here on Your World. It has been a fantastic show as we got to discuss matters lupus, the diagnosis, the ailment, what exactly it is, the cost of treatment, and how exactly you can be able to get assistance from Dr. Oyoo. My guest today was Victoria Kiende, who is a lupus warrior, and she has shared her journey beautifully on today's show. If you caught this show towards the end, kindly go back to YouTube and just rewind from the beginning. We started off at 10 a.m. I was also joined by Dr. Omondi Oyoo, or rather Professor Omondi Oyoo, who is a rheumatologist. And he's also, if you'd like to reach him, he did share his contact where you can be able to find him. Until next time, my name is Helen Aura. Thank you for watching the show and keeping us company. Bye-bye.